For my first pick and the second overall pick of the Sunday six-pack, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers -5 at Carolina. Look, just like the Saints selling high after what everyone saw, I'm buying low on the Bucs and Brady here. It looks like Ali Marpet will go. They're all pro guard. That's important because if you can prevent pressure up the middle, Brady's going to be able to shred this zone as he did in week 2. This is the most interesting part. If you're into trends, is this game. You have two trend monsters going against each other. Since 2003, Tom Brady off of a loss, after a loss, 32-12 against the spread. That's 73%, covering by an average of almost 6 points per game, about 45% ROI. Well, guess what? Teddy Bridgewater's 32-11 against the spread, almost the exact same record overall, about 75%, covering by about 3.5 points per game, 46% ROI. Brady has a dog of 7 or less. Excuse me, I said it again. Brady has a dog or a favorite of 7 or less in his career. 20.
Actually, okay.
But Brady has a dog of. Let me say it again. Brady has an underdog or a favorite of 7 or less after a loss. 24-3 against the spread. Well, what's Bridgewater as an underdog? 22-5 against the spread. I mean, no matter where you look, these two quarterbacks, every trend says, so what's good? What gives? Well, we actually saw this situation in week 2 when the Bucs lost their opener to the Saints, and they played the Panthers the next week, and were laying 8, and they won by 14 in a game that they really could have won by a lot more. Misleading score. McCaffrey's not going to go for the Panthers. Maybe a half point that's worth. We saw that Davis has been really effective in his absence. But one of the things why the Bucs have had so much success against the Panthers is since Todd Bowles has taken over the Bucs defense, they've completely shut down Christian McCaffrey, and I expect them to do the same against Davis here. McCaffrey in 3 meetings against Todd Bowles over the last 2 years has 56 carries for 127 yards. 56 for 127, that's 2.3 average. 10 catches for 71 yards. He's touched the ball 66 times, and he hasn't reached 200 yards a touch, and that includes his 10 receptions. And that makes sense because the Bucs defense is number 1 overall, even after last week, number 3 versus the rush. They're allowing a league low 3.3 yards per rush, same as last year when they led the league. So, their run defense is excellent. They're also number 4 against short passes, number 4 defending running backs out of the backfield. So it's all the things that you want to see when you're playing this Panthers offense. Looks like Levante David will go. He, along with Fred Warner, you could throw Bobby Wagner is still there. It's one of the top linebackers in the NFL. By the way, players in NFL history with 1,000 tackles, 20 sacks, and 10 picks in their first 8 seasons. Ray Lewis and Levante David. That's it. Tampa Bay's one defensive weakness this year has been covering tight ends, not really the strength of the Panthers offense. And I've been saying for the past 2 weeks, this Panthers defense regression is coming. They don't really get after the quarterback. I think their secondary has been overperforming. So I think Brady should shred this zone. He's going to have time to throw. Looks like Marpet and David will both go, which is big. Okung might be out at left tackle, and there's a big drop-off after that. So I think the Bucs will be able to get pressure. In a matchup of these two trend monsters, Bridgewater always finds a way to cover, and Brady off of a loss, angry, bitter Brady after maybe the worst game of his career. I'll take the Bucs here in a game I make closer to a touchdown, so I'll lay the 5. I think the Bucs come out very angry. I also moneyline parlayed them with the Ravens. So give me the Bucs.
Man, I wasn't expecting the Bucs to get shellacked like they did on Sunday Night Football. It's obvious bounce back spot. I'm kind of in the middle in terms, my motto, spit out a number kind of in that dead zone. So I haven't bet this game, but, just kind of more from a gut feel perspective, I do feel like the Bucs are kind of going to, kind of let out some anger because you have the same kind of narrative shaping up. It's really the same situation as week 1 and week 2. Like, Arians kind of taking subtle shots at Tom Brady, and everyone, the defense has something to prove. The offense has something to prove. Did you get a chance to see that Dan Orlovsky rant on when he just went off on the Bucs coaching staff? He was like, the last 2 game plans on in prime time have been the worst 2 game plans he's ever seen in his life. I mean, yeah. I didn't even really wasn't thinking about the coaching staff, but when he kind of mentioned some key points about they've just been doing silly things, and Arians kind of alluded to it with he's saying like, hey, we want to kind of go back to getting Gronk on the field and not having to throw the ball. They ran the ball 5 times last week. I mean, this is kind of a prove it game for everyone involved. So yeah, like the number probably, if you're just straight up, spitting it into a computer, is probably not going to come out as big, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Bucs put out a statement win here.
Yeah, why is Brady so good off a loss? Like, doesn't everyone know Brady's always perfect? Because Brady's he's great. I mean, he might not be the most talented quarterback of all time, but he embodies greatness, which means after a loss like that, the practice this week, the extra time that they're going to put in, and just he will demand perfection almost every single play, and they won't take a series off this upcoming week. So I know it's narrative based, but you're going to get angry Brady coming out here in that offense against a defense that I have as bottom 5 in the NFL. And so I think that he can shred this zone-heavy defense with all of his weapons now back. I'm assuming Godwin go. On the other side, it's just a good matchup for the Bucs defense.
Here's a narrative. You see how the Bucs just sleptwalk through these last 2 primetime games? Brady goes to sleep at 8:30 p.m. Like, he's usually not even awake when they're playing. Like, the minute they did that against the Saints, I immediately went to Google and I was like, what time does Tom Brady go to bed? And sure enough, it's 8:30 p.m. He's always in bed in these type of games. He's older now. I would go to bed too,
He runs out of energy.
Right.
His
got a lot to do.
Sandwiches, his kale sandwiches don't last him a day.
Man. So, if he's losing, he's probably likely to lose in one of these primetime spots. And then he comes back the next week, and it's a 1 p.m. start, and he's up and refreshed, and he's going to get to it. So, remind me to fade the Bucs. I think it's the week after this. I think they go to L.A. to play the Rams on Monday night. That'll probably be a fade spot for the Bucs because haven't liked what I've seen out of them on primetime. This has been a totally different team. Like, this has been the best team, one of the best teams, like top 3 teams in the NFL in like the regular window, and one of the worst teams in the NFL in primetime. They should have lost to the Giants in that game too.